Okay, we're going to get started on another flipped classroom homework video. This one is about economics and it covers a lot of stuff. You should have already received one of these guided notes worksheets in class. If not, you can print it from the class website, but it will look just like this. It has all the fill in the blank stuff to make it nice and easy for you. As always, as we're doing our flipped classroom, if you need to pause, rewind, rewatch, or fast forward a certain part, you can feel free to do that. That way you can move at your own pace. Okay, our topic is economics, and the hint at the bottom is the bold stuff is really important and you should definitely copy it down, especially if it is not included on your fill in the blank homework, but it most likely will be. Economics is anything in a government that is related to money. It answers the questions: what countries will trade, who they will trade with, what currency or money they use, what products they make, and what services they provide. If any of those questions seem a little bit unclear, that's okay, because we're just getting started and we're going to get into a lot of this stuff in a little bit. But as a whole, economics equals anything having to do with money. Now it's time for our basic vocabulary for an economy. This is going to be a long one, so make sure you pause it if you need to. Producers are people who make or create something to sell. They produce something. A pizzeria owner is the producer of the pizza. Nike is the producer of soccer cleats. Consumers are people who purchase, use, or consume something. People who pay for the restaurant or pizza from the restaurant itself are consumers, and 7th graders who buy soccer cleats are consumers, or their parents who pay for it are. I know it's cut off at the bottom, just make sure you're paying very close attention to what I'm saying as I get to that point on each slide. Goods are a product that people purchase, so cleats are considered a good and pizza is a good. Services, something that someone does that someone else pays for. So if you hire someone to clean your car, that is a service. A massage is a service, and teaching is a service. More basic vocab. Resources are materials that a country, business, or individual person has to contribute to their economy. So the resources the pizzeria's owner has include money, sauce, dough, cheese, meat, store, delivery vehicles, and employees. Having all of those things allows them to run their business, which allows consumers to purchase their product. Another example would be the natural resources, meaning produced by nature, that Ecuador has in a way to make money would include cacao, bananas, seafood, and other things they have include money, delivery vehicles, stores, and wonderful, intelligent people like you guys, and like you will grow to become and a part of the Ecuadorian economy. Okay, now that we've discussed the overall basics of an economy, these are economic systems. An economic system is the method used by society or government to produce and distribute goods and services. So anything as an overall how things are traded or done in an economy is considered an economic system, and there are different structures for those. There are 4 main economic systems, and in this picture there are only 3, so we'll have to get what the other one is. All economic systems must consider the following questions, meaning anything having to do with a country that has to do with money has to answer these following questions. What goods and services should you produce? How are you going to produce them? Who will get them or purchase them? And how much will they produce now and how much later? Each economic system answers these questions in a different way, which is what makes them different systems to begin with. Again, I realize it's not 100% clear, but wait until we get through with a little bit more detail and it'll make some sense. Our first economic system is a traditional economy. Economic questions are all answered by habits and customs, meaning the way it's always been done before. Children will work the same jobs as parents worked, usually farming or a hunter-gatherer, and they fear change. And some examples of societies that use a traditional economy include the Eskimos, Amish, Pygmies, or Bush people. So it's a very basic economic system, and again, the reason why people don't change is because it's the role that society expects from them. This usually works in a smaller community, which is why you see some of those examples before. So if my father was a farmer, I'm going to be a farmer because my community needs me to be a farmer. If I'm a shoemaker, it's probably because my dad's a shoemaker and my son or daughter is going to be a shoemaker one day as well. The next type is a command economy. In a command economy, the government answers the basic economic questions. You can look back at those 4 if you need to. Some advantages include the ability to act quickly in emergencies and provide for all people equally, And disadvantages include the fact that it's inefficient and there's no incentive to really work extra hard or be creative. And that's something that we kind of discussed with Soviet Russia and socialism when we were going over our forms of government. Some examples include communist countries like Vietnam, North Korea, and the former Soviet Union, as well as a few others. This one is the most common. It's called a free market economy. Economic questions are answered by individual buyers and sellers, and supply and demand influence economy. We'll get into specifics on supply and demand, but all you need to know for right now is the supply is the amount of something you have, and the demand is how many people want to have it. People will act out of self-interest or motive for money, and that's what drives the economy. So I want to be successful in my business, and if I own a pizzeria, I want to have a better product and a cheaper product so people will spend money on it. This is also known as free enterprise or capitalism. And some examples of free market economy are the United States and Western Europe, as well as Japan. And our fourth economic system is a mixed economy, because no economy is a pure market, pure command, or pure traditional economy. Elements of each usually appear in every single economic system. Some have more elements of one economy than another. In a mixed economy, free market ideas might be in play, meaning you can purchase the things that you want, and you can sell the things that you want and have the job that you want, but so is government regulation. So real quick to summarize, traditional economy, everyone works the job that their previous family members have worked. Expectations are clear, and everyone does things the way that they've always been done traditionally. In a command economy, the government tells you what we need. If we need more rice farmers, guess what? You're going to be a rice farmer whether you like it or not. And we're also going to distribute the goods, sell the goods at the same price, and provide for everybody. Good thing about that is it takes care of everything and everyone. Bad thing is it limits choice and freedom. And a market economy is where you get to decide what you want to purchase, what job you want to have, what you want to sell, what services you decide to purchase, and so on. A good thing about that is that it gives you a lot of freedom and a lot of choice opportunity. And a bad thing about that is sometimes there's a lot of competition for the same stuff. But we're going to move on now. An example of a mixed economy is the United States of America. While the United States is mostly a free market economy, meaning people get to choose what they want to do for a living and what they want to sell, it does have elements of a command economy, meaning government regulation. Here are some features of the American free market economy. They have economic freedom, which means you have the right to choose in terms of what job you want and what products or services you purchase. There's competition, meaning there's more than one producer of a good or service, which ensures choice. So you might be looking at those Nike sneakers while someone else is looking at Adidas, while someone else is looking at Reebok. That's competition. You also have the option for private property in an American free market economy, which means individuals have the right to own their own stuff. Private business, individual clothing, individual things that only belong to you rather than to the government who's just lending it to you. A couple more features of the American free market economy include self-interest. People make decisions based on what's best for them and their family. Voluntary exchange, meaning you have the right to choose what you're going to buy. So if you decide I want to spend all of my money on steak and cheese, you can do that and you don't have to buy lima beans or broccoli. And you have a profit motive, meaning individuals are driven by a desire to make a profit or make money. But it also has some features of a command economy as well. Government regulation does exist for some things, like a minimum wage, the amount of hours you're able to work or you have to work, as well as safety practices, meaning you can't operate machinery after working a 25-hour shift, things like that. Government also limits certain choices, like you cannot buy or produce certain goods or services. Government provides aid to the needy, meaning Medicare, Medicaid, and welfare, so people who need it and don't work have the ability to receive some government assistance. And individually, I want to look at this example right here. If I have a pizzeria, how would it function under different economic systems? Well, our first one we're going to look at is a free market. I am going to answer the basic economic questions. I determine how much cheese and pepperoni goes on the pizza. I determine the quality of cheese and pepperoni. I may decide that I want to go with a cheaper option for cheese and pepperoni so I can lower my prices and maybe have more people buy it. Or I might raise the quality, hoping that the quality is good enough for people to pay more money. I also have the option to set my employees' wages and what I pay them, and I can decide when my business is open. If my pizzeria was open in a command economy, the government would answer the basic economic questions whether I like it or not. The government would set the amount of cheese and pepperoni on each pizza. The government would determine the quality of the cheese and pepperoni. And the government sets employees' wages as well as business hours. One of the problems that we have here, what does the government know about pizza? It's a benefit of a market economy to have people who are experts in their field get to make the decisions, but in a command economy, the government decides for you. Now let's look at what my pizzeria would look like in a mixed economy. The government and I would both answer the basic economic questions. I determine the amount of cheese and pepperoni in the pizza, but the government determines the quality of food that I'm giving to my people. I would set employee wages. The government would set a minimum wage that I have to pay for my employees. And I determine the business hours. The government determines whether or not my business is clean enough to be open. So that's the idea behind a mixed economy. It's got the best parts of a command economy, like regulation and supervision to make sure I can't do anything I want, but it also has the benefits of a market economy where the person who's an expert gets to make the decisions that really matter. That's it. And if you look at your guided worksheet notes, there are a couple reflection questions that I'd like you to answer before you finish up with this video. And if you have any questions, as always, feel free to email me.